Elon Musk and his son leave the US. In silence, as where they go, stuns the world. It started with silence, not the kind that follows a loud argument or a broken promise, but the kind that creeps in when something sacred is about to shift. Early that morning, Elon Musk walked into a private terminal with his 5-year-old son X by the hand. No reporters, no camera flashes, no security detail. They walked toward his jet but didn't board it. Instead, Elon turned around, whispered something to his son, and led him to a black rental car parked quietly nearby. No one knew they were leaving, not even Elon's closest friends, not even his assistant. The world would only find out after it was too late. "Daddy," X said, looking up, his voice soft, like morning fog. "Are we going to the moon?" Elon smiled faintly, the kind of smile that holds both love and pain. "Not today, buddy. Somewhere quieter." "That's all," he said. They got into a black rental car, not a Tesla. Elon drove, no autopilot, no media, just a GPS with one destination: unknown. The day before, something had broken inside him, not from failure, not from loss, but from too much noise, too many expectations, too many people pulling him in every direction, except toward what really mattered, and what mattered most was holding the hand of a little boy who didn't care about rockets or riches, just time. Time is dead. But what no one could have predicted was where they'd end up, or what that journey would reveal, not only to the world, but to Elon himself. Because sometimes the most powerful escape isn't to Mars, it's to the one place no one expects. Before we continue, we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. The road out of Los Angeles was long and quiet. X sat in the back seat, legs swinging, shark plushie pressed to his chest. He didn't ask many questions, just hummed softly to himself, occasionally tracing shapes on the window with his tiny finger. Elon glanced at him through the mirror. "You okay back there, buddy?" X nodded. "I like it when it's just us." That hit harder than it should have. They passed diners, gas stations, billboards screaming about sales and elections. Elon didn't stop. He drove past it all, toward the desert, toward stillness, toward something he couldn't name but felt pulling him. Somewhere outside Phoenix they stopped at a roadside diner, the kind with peeling paint and waitresses who call everyone Han. Elon ordered pancakes. X wanted chocolate milk. They sat in a booth by the window. For the first time in months, Elon didn't check his phone. No emails, no press briefings, no stock reports, just syrup, sunshine, and a 5-year-old boy trying to draw Saturn on a napkin. Then it happened. An older man at a nearby table leaned over and whispered to his wife, not so quietly, "Is that Elon Musk? What's he doing here?" X heard it. His little brows furrowed. "Daddy, are you in trouble?" Elon froze. He reached across the table, gently taking X's hand. "Nobody. I'm not in trouble. I just needed to remember what's real." X thought about that for a moment, then said, "I think pancakes are real." Elon laughed. For the first time in weeks, a real laugh, not a forced one for cameras or shareholders. Just him. Just a dad with his son chasing a feeling, but the world wasn't done chasing him. By that evening, news had broken. Elon Musk, missing, last seen leaving his home with son, disappeared without alerting staff or security. It was everywhere. Twitter, CNN, Reddit, speculations, theories, panic. Was it a protest, a breakdown, or something worse? The pressure was already closing in again. But Elon didn't flinch. He looked at X, who was now asleep in the back seat of a small motel room, curled up with his shark. Then he sat on the edge of the bed, stared at the night sky, and whispered something no one had ever heard him say, "I." Don't care if the world finds me. I'm already home. The next morning, Elon woke up before sunrise. He stood quietly by the motel window, watching the world turn pink and gold. Cars passed, a dog barked in the distance, and somewhere, a radio played an old country song, but inside that little room, it felt like time had stopped. Then he heard it. Tiny footsteps. A sleepy voice. "Daddy?" Elon turned. X rubbed his eyes. Shark still clutched tight. "Are we going home now?" the boy asked. Elon crouched down, placing both hands on X's shoulders. "We are home, buddy, as long as we're together." X blinked. "But the house with the big robot arms isn't here." Elon smiled gently. "We'll see that again someday. But for now, I needed to come somewhere people don't expect me to be, so I can hear myself think." They packed their things and headed out again, driving deeper into the desert. Elon wasn't sure why. Maybe he was chasing silence, or maybe he was chasing something he'd never truly had. Peace. Hours later, in the middle of nowhere, Elon pulled over at a small white chapel, alone on a hill surrounded by cacti and stillness. There were no signs, no parking lot, just a worn wooden bench and a bell that hadn't rung in years. X looked up at the building, then at his dad. "Is this a spaceship?" Elon laughed. "Nobody. But it's just as quiet." They stepped inside. Dust danced in the light, streaming through stained glass. The air was cool and calm. X sat in the front pew, legs dangling, whispering softly to his plushie. Elon sat beside him, both of them facing the empty altar. Then X said something that stopped Elon's breath cold. "Can we live here?" It wasn't a question of comfort. It wasn't about toys or Wi-Fi or big houses. It was a child's way of asking, can we stay somewhere safe, somewhere simple, somewhere where it's just us? Elon couldn't answer right away. Because somewhere between rockets and headlines and global chaos, he'd forgotten what this kind of silence felt like. And now, his 5-year-old son had reminded him. Meanwhile, across the U.S., chaos brewed. News helicopters circled his empty home, stock prices dipped, hashtags trended. Where is Elon? The world wanted answers, but Elon wasn't ready to give them. Not yet. They stayed in the chapel longer than Elon expected. Not days, just hours. That felt like whole seasons. At one point, X found an old candle and asked if he could make a wish. Elon helped him light it. The boy closed his eyes tight, whispered something to himself and smiled. "What did you wish for?" Elon asked, gently. X opened one eye and grinned. "That we never have to leave." Elon's chest tightened. How had a 5-year-old understood something that took him 50 years to grasp? That stillness is sacred. That presence is everything. Later, that afternoon, Elon sat on the chapel steps, watching the wind dance over the dry hills. X was nearby, stacking rocks and naming them after planets. This one is Mars. This one is Neptune. This one's Daddy. Elon chuckled, but his heart was heavy. He had built electric cars, launched rockets, and shaped the future. But in doing so, he'd almost missed the most important mission of all, being present. He looked at X, so small, so alive, so full of wonder, and for the first time in what felt like forever, he felt something click back into place. Not with machines, but with himself. Just then, his phone buzzed. He hadn't turned it off, he just forgot about it. Hundreds of missed calls, text messages, news alerts, his company's board, his legal team, journalists, even the White House. But one message stood out from May Musk, his mother. It was short. "I'm proud of you. Wherever you are, so stay there a little longer. He needs this, so do you." Elon exhaled, slowly, almost trembling. He didn't reply. He didn't need to. Inside the chapel, X had started humming, a tune he made up. Elon walked in, sat beside him, again, and joined in. Off key, off rhythm. Them, but perfectly together. Somewhere out there, the world was spinning faster than ever. But inside those wooden walls, time bent around them. No launches, no meetings, no headlines. Just a man who finally remembered how to be a father and a boy who already knew how to be a son. That night, they slept side by side on a pile of old cushions and jackets. X curled into Elon's arms like he used to when he was a baby, and just before closing his eyes, the boy whispered, "Promise, we'll always have this." Elon pressed a kiss to his forehead. "I promise, little man. I really, too?" The next morning, Elon woke up to the sound of birds and X whispering to his plush shark. "Did you sleep good?" the boy asked, poking his dad's nose. Elon smiled. "Best sleep I've had in years." They shared a simple breakfast, crackers, bananas, and juice from a gas station cooler. X giggled while dipping his cracker in the juice, calling it space. Cereal. Elon didn't correct him. He just watched, memorizing every second. Then came the knock. A single, slow knock on the chapel door. Elon froze. X paused too, eyes wide. "Is it bad, guys?" Elon placed a finger to his lips and walked to the door. He opened it slowly, and there stood a Secret Service agent. Clean suit, earpiece, no weapon visible, but the message was clear. "Elon," the man said softly. "He doesn't want to force anything. He just wants to talk. Alone." Elon stepped outside. Parked at R, the bottom of the hill was a black SUV with a U.S. flag on the front, and standing beside it, President Donald Trump. Elon walked down slowly, heart racing. Trump didn't speak right away. He waited until Elon stood right in front of him. Then he said something no one would ever expect. "You disappeared. The world's panicking, but I saw the footage, the chapel, the kid. I get it now." Elon narrowed his eyes. "You get it?" Trump looked him straight in the eye. "I know what it's like to have the whole world and still feel like you're losing what matters most." There was a long pause. Two powerful men, known for their ego and ambition, suddenly reduced to something more honest. "Fathers," Trump continued, "you don't owe the world your soul, Elon, but eventually, Maud, you'll have to step back in. Just don't lose what you found here." Then he nodded toward the chapel. "That boy, he's your legacy. Not Mars, not stock prices. Him, Elon." Didn't reply. He didn't need to. Trump extended his hand, not as a president, but as a man who had made mistakes too. Elon shook it, quietly, then turned and walked back up the hill, back to X, who had been watching through the dusty window. X opened the door before Elon reached it. "Was that the moon guy?" Elon laughed. "Close enough." He picked X up, hugged him tight, and at that exact moment, a photographer hiding in the distance, someone who had followed the security team, snapped a single photo. A man, a child, a chapel. No suits, no tech, just love. That photo would go viral in less than 24 hours. Elon stood there, holding his son, still warm from that moment, with Trump still tasting the truth of it. The air around them hadn't changed. The desert was still quiet, the chapel still old, but something inside Elon had shifted, not dramatically, not like a lightning strike, quietly, like a door creaking open in his heart. X leaned back in his arms. "Daddy, why did that man come? Here?" Elon took a deep breath, pressing his cheek gently against the boy's hair. "He came to remind me that I already have everything I need." X blinked slowly. "Even without robots?" Elon smiled. "Especially without robots." Just then, another vehicle appeared at the base of the hill, a small news van, its antenna already rising. Elon could see the dust trail behind it, the lens of a long camera peeking through the window. The world had found him, and this time he didn't panic. He looked down at X. "We can't stay here forever, buddy." X hugged his dad tighter. "But we can stay one more minute." Elon closed his eyes. One more minute. So they sat down on the chapel steps again. Not rushing, not hiding, not escaping. Just being. The chapel bell above them, silent for years, suddenly shifted in the wind, clink, a small sound, almost nothing. But it felt like the earth had acknowledged their moment. From below, the photographer raised his camera again, but didn't take the shot. He paused. He felt it too. Not a story to sell, a story to feel. X looked up. "Will people be mad? You left, Elon?" "Thought about it. Maybe," he said. "But maybe they'll understand. Maybe they'll remember what it's like to stop, to listen, to breathe." The boy didn't say anything. He just reached for Elon's hand and squeezed it. And in that exact instant, before the world could spin fast again, before headlines roared, before the noise returned, Elon smiled. Not for the camera, not for the world, but for the boy, for himself. For the first time in a long time, they stood up, brushed the dust off, walked together down the hill. As they reached the car, X turned and looked back at the chapel. "Goodbye, spaceship." Elon looked too. "Goodbye, sanctuary." One last glance, one last breath. Then the door closed. The car ride back wasn't silent. This time there was humming. Little songs that X made up as he gazed out the window. He named every cloud they passed. He talked about building a spaceship made of pillows. He asked if they could stop for ice cream. They did. A small roadside stand with melted cones and sticky counters. No one there recognized them, not yet. Just a man in a hoodie and sunglasses, and a little boy with a huge smile and chocolate on his nose. And that moment, it was perfect. Because Elon didn't check his phone. He didn't scroll. He didn't drift. He watched his son eat the messiest ice cream in the world, and he laughed, deeply, freely. But the world outside was still catching fire. The photo from the chapel had just been posted. In less than 30 minutes, it had reached every corner of the internet. No caption, no filter, just a father and son holding each other under a cross-shaped window. No tech, no power, just presence. The reaction was instant. Some called it a breakdown, some called it a protest, but most called it something they didn't even know they missed. Truth. And while debates flared, markets shifted, and networks speculated, Elon and X sat at a picnic table, sharing the last bite of a cone that was more napkin than dessert. "Now, Daddy," X asked, licking his fingers, "are we going back to the spaceship?" Elon wiped his hands on his jeans, looked at the boy, and said something that no headline would ever quote. But one day, X would remember forever. "We're not going back," he said gently. "We're taking the peace with us." And that's exactly what they did. As they pulled away, X waved out the window, not at anyone in particular, just at the world. The same world that had tried to own. Elon now watched him slip through its fingers, not because he ran, but because he chose. He chose love over legacy, presence over power, hairboy over billions. And somewhere in that moment, a little boy believed, deeply, fully, that his dad didn't belong to the world anymore. He belonged to him. We tell stories that remind us of what really matters, one heart at a time. If this story meant something to you, don't just leave. Join us. Subscribe now.